Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is in hot water again with freshly unsealed US Department of Justice files revealing quite embarrassing claims, including a 2006 legal letter alleging Prince Andrew and Epstein propositioned an exotic dancer for a threesome and sex acts at Epstein's Palm Beach mansion. And Prince Andrew, of course, has always denied all allegations of wrongdoing. Meanwhile, a second Epstein survivor alleges she was trafficked to the UK in 2010 for sex with Andrew at his Royal Lodge home, followed by tea and a Buckingham Palace tour. Of course, Andrew has always denied, as I said, allegations against him. And in a dramatic development, Andrew has suddenly moved out of Royal Lodge and has moved to Sandringham. The plans appear to have been accelerated amid calls for him to testify in the United States. Will this latest royal saga ever end? Well, I'm joined now by Deputy Royal Editor of gbnews.com. It's been a busy 24 hours for both of us. You've been tapping away for the GB News website, and I've been doing various other things. Let's just start with the latest revelations. Hopefully, by the time we end this recording, there won't be new revelations we need to talk about. But the latest is this legal letter, which appears to claim that an exotic dancer was asked for a threesome with Andrew and Epstein. It's just another embarrassment, isn't it?
It's disgusting, is what it is. Obviously, Andrew has always denied wrongdoing, but I mean, his name will now be forever tied to Epstein. You can't hear the words Prince Andrew or Andrew Mountbatten Windsor without thinking of Jeffrey Epstein. And unfortunately, this is a huge storm that King Charles and Queen Camilla and the rest of the royal family are going to have to weather. You know, they're really going to have to switch the narrative around and show that the royal family are so much more than the headlines Andrew unfortunately is causing. But it's a disgrace, honestly. It's absolutely awful. And I dread to think what Beatrice and Eugenie are thinking this morning when they're waking up to yet another round of headlines of just the same. I mean, this past week it's been nonstop, as you know. It's awful, really.
Newly unsealed U.S. Department of Justice files include a 2006 legal letter alleging Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein propositioned an exotic dancer for sex acts and a threesome. She was trafficked to the UK in 2010. She had sex with Andrew at Royal Lodge. Afterwards, she had tea and a Buckingham Palace tour. Prince Andrew has consistently denied all allegations of wrongdoing. Reputational damage versus legal proof. The story remains dominated by allegations, not convictions. Do you think newly unsealed files change anything, or is this just more of the same allegations resurfacing?
Yeah, and I mean, yesterday we had Prince Edward, Andrew's younger brother, for want of a better phrase, kind of ambushed by a journalist during an official event in Dubai, where he was directly asked about the latest tranche of Epstein files, and obviously that relates to his brother quite personally, as the journalist pointed out. And Edward got quite defensive in the sense that he was visibly frustrated, but he was being asked about the Epstein files, where he wanted to be talking about education, because of course that's why he was there. But I thought there was a bit of a contrast, a noticeable contrast between his response to all these allegations and Andrew's from the 2019 Newsnight interview, because Edward, his first thought was with the victims, which Andrew failed to do on Newsnight, which ultimately led to the start of his downfall. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually thought that, let's not forget that Prince Edward, of course, is married to the Duchess of Edinburgh, who used to work in PR. So I have no doubt that she was probably giving him notes about what to say if a journalist is to ask questions. And you have to expect that, you know, this is the news right now, the royal news around the globe. So, of course, yes, he was in Dubai to champion education, but yes, he was asked about it. And I cringed a little bit when he got defensive at the start, because he said, you know, nobody here wants to listen to this. And I was thinking, oh no, Edward, that's the wrong thing to say, because everybody wants to know about this, you know. But I thought he handled it really well, actually, in the end, because yes, as you said, he did mention the victims. And let's not forget that when Andrew stepped down from royal duties back in 2019, after that car crash interview, he issued a statement where he, you know, said, my thoughts are with the victims. And it took him, after like seeing the reaction to the interview, to then say that in a written statement from Buckingham Palace, which was obviously gone through by lawyers and by the Queen. And King Charles, then Prince Charles, who knows? But it seems like it takes a lot of people to tell him, remember to, send your thoughts to the victims, because he just failed to do that somehow in an interview. And I can't understand, if you're trying to go and clear your name of any, speculation, why would you not do that? It's baffling to me. But good on Edward.
Yeah, but even now, 5-6 years a week now from the Epstein, that Newsnight interview and everything else that's happened since, I'm like, does he actually get it? Because even on Monday, hours before he was hastily moved under cover of darkness from Royal Lodge to Sandringham, he was pictured riding a horse. Okay, I'll let him ride a horse. But he was also pictured smiling and waving to members of the public like a working royal, which jars, I think, with the public and journalists. And I'm sure it certainly jarred with royal communications and perhaps the king himself. Do you think his continued presence in public areas of Windsor, where photographers were there and they were taking these photographs of Andrew, where he appeared to be pretty happy, was too uncomfortable maybe for the palace, which is why his move was accelerated?
I have no doubt. I think everything you said there was correct. And again, who are the advisors? Who said, yes, go get on a horse and smile and wave at photographers when there's images of you appearing to crouch on all fours above a woman? Again, Andrew was always denied wrongdoing, but just when these images are out there, do you really think that's appropriate? And at a certain point, you've almost got to think, does he himself, has he convinced himself that the public are on his side and all of this is just, I don't know. I'm watching it from the sidelines. Well, very much, obviously, as a Deputy Royal Editor, I'm reporting on this, but I'm watching this just going, who's advising you? It's baffling. But yeah, I have no doubt that those images probably sent alarm bells ringing in Buckingham Palace, King Charles, Queen Camilla, and we're just thinking, we need to get on with this. We announced in October 2025, it's now February 2026, and we need to get a move on, really.
And we were always told that Andrew would be moving to Sandringham, as you say, in October, in the first part of the year. So let's talk about where he's moved to. So he hasn't quite moved to Marsh Farm yet, has he? Because that's a bit of a building site at the moment. He's moved somewhere else, which doesn't have a bit of a connection to Prince Philip, his father.
Yeah. It's actually quite a sweet story. So during the COVID years, just before Prince Philip's death in 2021, he was actually spending a lot of time in Wood Farm. It was a rural, quiet area, completely away from the press, from members of the public, where he could just sort of get on with his hobbies that he liked to do. And of course, it was a really happy time up until his death. So it's quite a sweet place, I guess, for Andrew to stay, given that it completely, it links him to his late father, who I'm sure he misses. But yeah, I don't know if compared to Royal Lodge, which is obviously this grand, beautiful, what is it, 30 room or 30 bedroom property, in a Crown estate property as well, going from that to a privately owned residence by the king, where the king has to fund your living as a nearly 66-year-old man. I mean, honestly, I think what a come down. And he's probably thinking, yeah, I was living the life between 2003 and 2026 at Royal Lodge, and now I'm living here on the Sandringham estate, and it's definitely a fall from grace.
Yeah, it is. And for somebody who feels he is so, it's a birthright. He sees it, or has always seen it as a birthright. He is a prince. His mother was Queen Elizabeth II. He has a right to all of his lands and property. To be fair to him, when he moved into Royal Lodge, he did pay around £8 million to renovate it. And in the contracts that he had, it basically effectively meant that he was paying just over 200 grand a year for that 75-year lease. But nonetheless, that idea that he was paying peppercorn rent at the same time, but he was being accused of all sorts, and as you say, he denies everything, all the wrongdoing against him, just wasn't a good look with the public. But one thing it is, of course, moving to Sandringham, and eventually he will move to Marsh Farm, is that it is privately owned by King Charles, and therefore there is no kind of public ownership of it whatsoever. The money that he wasn't paying to the Crown estate is not going to kind of be benefiting the public good. So Sandringham, do you think it's a good move that Sandringham was the choice for Andrew to move to?
I think it was an inevitable choice, really, because what were the other options? I don't think he would have liked to have been banished up to Scotland, where Balmoral is.
Quite remote.
And sorry,
it's quite remote.
It is quite remote, yeah. And I think Norfolk was the right choice. It's away from the prying eyes, it's away from the cameras. Whereas Windsor, given that the Prince and Princess of Wales live there, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh live there, King Charles and Queen Camilla spend a lot of time at Windsor Castle. It's seen, and very much during Prince William's reign, it is understood that Windsor is going to be seen as sort of monarchy HQ. Obviously, it's been reported that, but we don't know for sure. But with Andrew there, it's not really the best look, given that everything's going on. So keep him in Norfolk, keep him away from the rest of the family, really, and away from the cameras and away from the public and away from the future monarchy HQ, I think is a good idea.
I think I also saw a map, speaking of Prince William, of the Sandringham estate, and you kind of got Sandringham House in the middle, and then at one extreme end of the 31 square mile estate, you've got Marsh Farm, where Andrew will be living, and then the complete other side is Amner Hall, which is the Wales's kind of Norfolk country residence. So they're kind of as far away from each other as they could possibly get, which perhaps is music to Prince William's ears.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And Amner Hall is a beautiful property. It was gifted to Catherine and William after their 2011 wedding by Queen Elizabeth II. Yeah, I'm sure they're probably thrilled that it's not anywhere near Marsh Farm, because I think they spend quite a lot of time up there. I remember earlier on in their marriage, they would go up there every weekend, and definitely during half terms and the Easter holidays, etc. So I think they're probably just thinking, we don't want to be in any of the drama, which William and Catherine are not. That they're hardworking members of the royal family who just get on about their duties, and they really, as far as I can see, they're really not interested in any of the drama that other members of the family seem to make. So I can understand why they just don't want anything to do with this.
Yeah, indeed. We did ask, I asked Kensington Palace if they were going to comment on whether William had a hand in the acceleration of Andrew's move, and they did not want to be drawn on that. So there you are. Prince William didn't want to comment on that one. But there is a very serious new allegation that's come out in the last week. I believe it was a lawyer representing an alleged victim who contacted the BBC, alleging that she was sex trafficked to Andrew by Jeffrey Epstein to Royal Lodge way back in 2010. Of course, Andrew has always denied these kind of allegations. But now, of course, the police are a little bit involved. Now, it's important to stress that there's been no investigation that's been launched. They're simply looking into the reports and contacts from members of the public who have contacted Thames Valley Police. But Thames Valley Police say they haven't actually heard from the victim or the lawyer in question. It appears to be the anti-monarchy campaign group Republic, which is a bit odd.
Why does that not surprise me? I mean, yeah, what an absolute shambles this whole thing is. I really just, I think with the police review, as you said, it's not a criminal investigation yet, it's a review. Unfortunately, again, it's because Royal Lodge is involved. Royal Lodge is so now synonymous with drama and with Andrew and with Epstein and with all of this. I can only imagine that this is another reason why King Charles wanted to escalate this process of moving him up to Norfolk, because I almost feel sorry for any royal that's going to move into Royal Lodge in the future, because they'll have to use the property for something, and someone will have to live there, or they could turn it into a museum, I suppose, in the future. I don't know, but I almost feel sorry for whoever ends up having to live there, because it's tainted now. It's so stained. And yeah, what you said about Thames Valley Police, that it's very interesting. But I think watch this space. We don't know what's going to come of this yet. Of course, Andrew has always denied wrongdoing, but I think this is unprecedented for a senior member of the royal family to be so involved with the police in this way. I think it's not a good look for the royal family, and I just know King Charles and Queen Camilla are really hoping that this storm is weathered quickly, and as quickly as possible.
Commentators say Andrew's name is now permanently linked to Epstein. The scandal affects King Charles, Queen Camilla, the wider royal family's reputation. This highlights the institution versus individual dilemma. The monarchy must protect itself from Andrew's personal controversies, but cannot completely erase him due to family ties. Should the monarchy fully cut ties with Andrew publicly or keep it a private family matter? Prince Edward was questioned publicly about the Epstein case. He emphasized victims first. Contrast drawn with Andrew's 2019 Newsnight interview, widely seen as a PR disaster. This shows a clear PR shift in royal strategy. Modern royals emphasize empathy and victim awareness. Andrew's failure to do so accelerated his downfall. Did Andrew's 2019 interview permanently destroy his credibility, in your opinion? Andrew was seen smiling, waving, horse riding during the scandal wave. Critics say this appeared tone-deaf. This moment is about public perception versus legal status. Even if innocent, optics matter. The royal family relies heavily on public trust and image management. Was Andrew wrong to appear publicly relaxed during the scandal, or is he entitled to live normally? Andrew has moved from Royal Lodge to Sandringham Estate, temporary stay at Wood Farm, linked to Prince Philip, permanent move expected to Marsh Farm later. This move signals demotion in status, removal from Windsor, Royal HQ area, physical distancing from senior royals. Is this move a fair consequence or an attempt to quietly hide the problem? A claimer another woman was trafficked to Andrew in 2010. Thames Valley Police are reviewing reports. No criminal investigation launched yet. This is the most serious development. Moves issue from media scandal to potential legal scrutiny. Still at review stage, not prosecution. Should UK police fully investigate these claims, even if it causes major constitutional issues? Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, not accused of wrongdoing, likely to remain in public royal life occasionally. Andrew, expected to remain permanently sidelined. The monarchy is likely pursuing a contain and isolate strategy. Protect the institution, protect innocent family members, minimize Andrew's visibility. Should Beatrice and Eugenie still represent the monarchy despite their father's scandal? This entire situation is about three competing realities. Andrew denies wrongdoing, no conviction. His reputation is deeply damaged. The Epstein association is permanent. The monarchy must maintain legitimacy. Distance from scandal is essential. Do you think Prince Andrew will ever return to public royal life again, or is his role finished permanently?